Good evening, fiends. Welcome to Sinister Parlour Podcast. I am Zombie Barbie, and with me I have my amazing co-host.
I am Christopher Inlow. Hello. With my wonderful glasses. And I have with us also our guest for the evening, the even more wonderful than me, Miss Melanie Simka. And Melanie is actually she's an incredible director. She has done all kinds of animated films for a lot of different companies, including Lionsgate, and has directed major stars, including Christopher Lloyd.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd is
Love him.
absolutely. I think everybody watching is probably going to be a fan of Christopher Lloyd, because I don't think I know anybody that is not a fan of like Back to the Future or specifically
Addams Family.
Huh?
The Addams Family too.
Yes.
Right. And as a matter of fact, there's a Awesome Con coming up, a big convention that's going to be around here, and I may or may not be there, viewers. I don't know if I'm going to be there as a guest or not, but I know Christopher Lloyd is going to be there, and they're actually promoting, Christina Ricci will be, they're promoting the Addams Family thing going on there, so it's got both of them listed there. But Melanie directed Frog Kingdom. She directed The Legend of Kung Fu Rabbit, which is awesome. She directed Wings, The Robot Giant. I've got
Giant
the Elephant
King is what it's called.
What is it?
The Giant King. The Giant King.
Oh wow, that's weird. No, it's funny because it says The Robot Giant on your IMDb.
I think that's like some sort of weird I don't know. But yeah, it's Giant King or the Giant King for that one. That's with Russell Peters and Bella Thorne.
Oh, cool. My daughter loves her.
My personal favorite Melanie movie is Huevos. This is it's definitely more of a grown-up animation movie. It's got a lot of grown-up humor in there.
In Spanish, that's balls, right? Huevos.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, I think I know what that means.
It's like a boxing movie. It's awesome.
Nice.
It's awesome. Jason Mewes, is this the one with Jason Mewes in it?
Jason Mewes, Jon Heder, Keith David, Zachary Gordon from Diary of a Wimpy Kid is the main guy. Amber, Tina. That's a really fun.
It's awesome.
It
is absolutely awesome. No, you do. You need to watch. Everybody needs to watch that movie. Now, I've seen a lot of Melanie's movies, and Melanie and I became friends a while ago. So it's always fun when you become friends with people in the industry, and then you get to watch all their work and see all the stuff that they do. But I'm lucky because I get to watch these things, and Melanie has actually watched some of these movies with me while I watch them, which is even cooler because I get like all the little secrets and stuff as the movie's playing out in front of me. So I'm very excited about that. So now that we've gone through how much cooler Melanie is than I am, we get to start this up and kick this whole thing into gear. So
yeah.
So we are discussing. Or did you want to take this?
No, go ahead. So real quick, you chose this one, right, Melanie?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen this since I was probably like 11 or 12. So there was a lot of stuff I did not remember. I watched it the other night again.
I just watched it again a couple days ago, and I was like, yeah, it's a lot that you kind of forget. So it's interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's one of the things I learned so much. I went through different YouTube videos and got all the like 15 things you didn't know about The Silence of the Lambs. So I watched a bunch of those different things after I watched the movie. And but one of the things that like really caught me off guard was right there on the cover, and it's always been there. But that little skull is actually 7 naked women.
Can't hear you.
I can't.
You're blocking your
I think
speaker.
you're covering the mic.
Oh, sorry. All right, but what I was saying is one of the things that I learned, and I never noticed this before, and it's always been right in front of me. It's right there on the poster for Silence of the Lambs. But on the cover, on the moth on the cover, it looks like a skull. Ooh, and I dropped it. But that skull is actually 7 naked women.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Can you see that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I never noticed it until you had sent that. Because I know like the real
Wow.
moths, it looks like a skull, not naked ladies.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. I've never seen that before.
Right, it's crazy, isn't it? I learned so much about this film, even just these past couple of days. So it's neat. So, anyways,
So what made you choose this? Is this one of your favorite films? Is it something that
As far as horror, I don't usually go for the slasher blood and guts type horror, and so I like the more like thriller, scary but not otherworldly type of movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I know this is a really good one, and I've watched it before, and I thought it had a lot of good acting and a lot of good, I didn't remember it totally, and that was another reason too. I was like, I think I could watch that again and have some things to say about it. And it won, I know it won Best Actor, and I believe Best Actress, I think. Did it win Best Picture too?
It won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Actor, and Best Actress. It won all 5, and it's only one of, I believe, 3 films that have ever. I think it may be one of 3 films that have won all 5, or it may be one of 3 films that have ever been no. There's definitely other films that have been nominated for all 5. It's the only horror film to ever win Best Picture, and it is one of 3 films to win all 5 of those awards: Best Picture, Director, Actor, Actress, and Screenplay.
Dang.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, it's really well done. So, I mean, and I think there's a lot of layers to it, which I love in movies. So I'll let you guys take it.
I think this was one of Anthony Hopkins' best performances. I just think he did so well. He was so believable that, I mean, like I was telling you before we got on here, I kept rewinding parts just to watch his words and how he was doing it and how he was saying it. And just, he really, really did the character well.
Right. He was not the first selection for this role. Originally, they wanted to get Sean Connery to play that role, but Sean Connery would not do it. He thought the role was just too much. It was disgusting. But even before that, the original script, now this really caught me. I had heard something about the Sean Connery thing in the past. What I didn't know was that, what's his name? Gene Hackman was one of the original people that purchased this story. And Gene Hackman was going to direct and star as Hannibal Lecter in this. But apparently Gene Hackman's daughter, I guess, read the book and called up her dad, I'm sorry, and was like, I don't want you to do this role. So Gene Hackman sold his half of the rights to the movie to the other guy that got him. And I guess that's when they hired the director on. And the director wanted to cast Sean Connery. But even with that, there were other people that were thought about to play the role. That includes Morgan Freeman, Daniel Day-Lewis, Derek Jacobi, and Dustin Hoffman were all being considered as well to play the role of
Dustin Hoffman, that would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him doing that. And yeah, he would have been awesome, actually, I think. That would have been a good role for him.
He would have been good.
I'd like to see Dustin Hoffman do Hannibal Lecter, but with his Rain Man persona.
Well, that would be weird because he needs to be super smart. So
Yeah.
my
Well, I mean, look.
one has to be super smart, one has to be super dumb.
Dustin Hoffman counted a box of matches between the time it fell from the box to hitting the floor. He counted. That's pretty damn smart, if you ask me.
For like in real life, he did.
No, in Rain Man.
Oh,
It was like a box of matches that like fell out of his hands or something like that, or a box of toothpicks, and it was like there's 108 of them. There's 108 of them. There's 108 of them.
how many were there?
Right, and then they counted.
Yeah, and then
it was like wow.
They were
Wasn't it
like
something?
he was like 147 or something, and then they're like, oh, there's 150 in the box, and they're like, oh, well, that's close enough, and they said, oh, well, there's 3 left in the box, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Is an interesting scene, but that's more like a weird autistic savant type thing. If it would be someone that could be Hannibal Lecter, who's a super genius type,
Mm-hmm.
But it's an interesting idea. That'd be like saying Forrest Gump should be Hannibal Lecter, and it's like, well, I think a lot of serial killers probably are as dumb as Forrest Gump, but I don't think Hannibal Lecter in particular is supposed to be.
No.
No, I don't think so. Now, did you know that there were 4 Hannibal Lecter movies?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
I thought there were just 2, actually. Well, not with him in it, right? Only 2 with him?
Well, I think maybe, yeah, I guess there was one that came out way before that. Was it called Red Dragon, or was Red Dragon the one that came out?
That one's after. It was Hannibal, then Red Dragon.
Manhunter. Maybe that's what it was called.
It's Manhunter. Then it's supposed to be Silence of the Lambs. Then Hannibal. Then Red Dragon.
Right. Now they had. What was that, Melanie?
I was telling her to be a good girl.
You were telling Rhiannon to be a good girl?
Yes. It's like,
Everyone
be a good girl.
Right. I just randomly say that.
We're secretly texting. So.
Right. This is like one of those sexy dates where we're all having the conversation out in the open, but you guys are under the table actually talking weird sex stuff to each other.
Exactly what it is.
You just called us out. Good job.
I think everybody viewing this right now is like,
they're like, what are you saying?
Please tell me.
Can we see the screenshots?
But so the very first movie, the guy that did the very first one retained the rights to the name Hannibal Lecter. So they had to get permission from him to use all that stuff for the Silence of the Lambs, which of course he gave them with with full permission, and I guess for free is what I had heard. Because everything I heard is all came from the internet, so none of it could be true, and it could all be true.
It's probably all just bullshit. It's like
right, everything.
You just like add whatever you want.
Right.
See, I thought for some reason, because after I watched it the other night, I was going through and kind of reading about the actors and stuff like that. And then I wanted to watch Hannibal, but I had to rent it because Silence of the Lambs was on Prime. And so I thought for some reason Anthony Hopkins was in Manhunter as well, but I guess he was not.
No.
Okay.
No, that was the Manhunter one came out like way before all of these movies. And like I said, Silence of the Lambs was the first one to present Anthony Hopkins. And even before Anthony Hopkins, there were a slew of other people that they wanted to play the role of Hannibal Lecter. Sorry about my phone.
That's you. You're blaming us, and that's you.
I'm just asking questions, man. I haven't put the blame on anybody yet.
You're like, who is that? Whose phone is that?
No, I just said that I had heard it.
Yeah, I know that. I believe they wanted Michelle Pfeiffer to be her, the Jodie Foster's part, Agent Starling.
Yep.
And she turned it down, which is stupid.
She thought it was too gross. She thought that it was too much. The movie was too intense for her. Meg Ryan was also one of the people considered for it, along with Halle Berry.
And
Halle Berry and Morgan Freeman were both considered. No, that's not to say that they would have worked together. That's just saying that they were both considered for the roles at one point. But apparently the screenwriter had Jodie Foster in mind because she had just recently, like he wrote it with Jodie Foster in mind because Jodie Foster had just won an Academy Award for, I believe she won, she was at least nominated, but she probably won for, I believe it was The Accused.
Oh, okay.
And I guess that was like the year prior or maybe 2 years prior or something like that. So the screenwriter had her in mind for that particular role.
I really like Jodie Foster in the part. I think I'm glad that it went that way.
Yeah, she did great.
Mm-hmm. I think Dustin Hoffman could have done Hannibal Lecter really well, though.
Yes.
But out of the choices given, I think Jodie Foster, was the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could have seen like Meg Ryan, but even with Meg Ryan, I'm looking at Meg Ryan as somebody that's like the size of Jodie Foster. Like I've got Jodie Foster in my brain for Foster. I don't know where that accent came. I got Jodie Foster in my brain when I think about her. Too much Bernie Sanders stuff has been like flashing in my head. Got the election coming up and everything. But anyways, but yeah, so I've got her in my brain when I think of that. And of course, Meg Ryan, between all those people, is probably the most similar to Jodie Foster. But on that note, another interesting thing is the guy that wrote the book has never seen the movies because he's too afraid that, and this is what was said, that if he watches the movies, then he's going to get the Anthony Hopkins version of Hannibal Lecter in his head, and then he will not be writing the same Hannibal Lecter that he's been writing in his books. He'll be writing Anthony Hopkins' version of Hannibal Lecter, thinking of him as the role, and the same thing with Jodie Foster. So I thought that was really neat to learn.
That would be hard not watching your movie, like based off your book. That'd be super hard not to see it.
There's a lot of actors that don't watch their performances, and it's the same idea to me, where I never understood that either. And there's a lot of them. They're like, "Oh, I'll never watch myself on TV or on a movie," and I'm like, "How do you do that? That's crazy. That's your work. That's your, I've seen my movies a million times, and I still enjoy seeing them with someone who hasn't seen them, especially. And just, it's like your child, like you birthed something and then to just never see it again. It's just so strange to me. I don't understand it. But yeah, it's the same idea. And I guess that's just a certain way of thinking about it, because you get too self-conscious or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's definitely at least a couple of films that I've done that I haven't seen.
Really?
Yeah. And now there are roles, of course, that I've put a lot into that I have made sure that I wanted, that I got to the theater to see. Sometimes I just didn't see them because I didn't make it to the screening. And like I've got a DVD of a film that I shot. The DVD is just sitting on my piano at the house, and I haven't put it in yet. And I told the director, I'm like, yeah, one of these days I want to go out and I'll see it on the big screen. When it comes through on a film festival or something like that. I don't know what the hell that is. That's like, it's like, we need to put, this just became an NC-17 show.
That was just
the blanket was all looked like.
It became NC-17. This is like, it's like that scene in the Blair Witch Project when you see the kid, you're like, what the fuck is that? I just saw this like triple X rated thing.
It was like the whole screen. Oh shit!
What in the world is the Muppet? That's the
Muppet. Oh, look at her. She
That's
swims.
The Muppet. I love that dog.
She's so cute.
Wow. my brain just flew out the window with that. I'm not sure what I just saw, but I'm pretty sure I could have.
Didn't see anything. It was just me setting the tone down on the sheet thing.
Oh, that was a blanket or a sheet?
It's a sheet. Mm-hmm. I knew what it was. It was just funny because it just looked.
I didn't see it, but I just saw your reactions to it. So I'm just laughing at your guys' reaction.
Totally looked like a vagina.
Thank you, God. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to be alone.
The way it was set up and stuff. He's
God.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Melanie that we've been wanting you to know.
Oh my God.
So Melanie does porn.
It's funny because you just said that. Remember I said that you're in that picture? You just, Christopher, about
oh my God.
the person who looked like me.
Yes. Yes.
What was it?
Someone in one of his pictures that I thought looked like me, kind of, and so I said, "Oh, your friend looks like me a little bit," and then he texted me and he's like, "That's so funny because she's a porn star," and I'm like, "Okay." I don't know if I should have said that on the show, but
that's okay.
I just did a film with a porn star. I didn't do a porn movie with a porn star, but I did a film.
I hope so. I mean, not.
Well, we'll show that on the next show that we do here. Like out of nowhere, it's going to be me. Just like. But anyways, yeah. So it's there's a picture of me on Facebook of me in this porn star, and Melanie was like, "Oh my gosh, I look like your friend." I was like, "Yeah, she's a porn star." So that's you look like a porn star. That's awesome.
I didn't know that.
Right. Well, at least you look like a porn star. You look like this mega porn star. I get like Ron Jeremy. It's like, wow, you look kind of like Ron Jeremy. Oh fuck, man. Not that there's anything wrong with Ron Jeremy.
When I was in college, someone told me like crap. Who was the one that was in Crybaby? That was
Tracy Lord.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tracy Lord. Someone told me that when I was in college and I had blonde hair, that I looked like Tracy Lord, and I didn't know who it was, and I was like, I never heard of that person. And they're like, well, she's actually no one you probably know, but so anyway, it's funny that now I say I look like your friend who's also a porn star. I myself am not. But two of them, I guess, I've been told I look like her. I've told
you favor a couple porn stars.
Anyway.
Right. That's kind of awesome. But
yeah.
In Crybaby, the little girl that played Susie Q. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember.
Do you remember Susie Q in the Crybaby?
I just remember Johnny Depp.
Okay, Susie Q was the really small.
Which one was Susie Q?
She was the daughter, the little girl. There was a little boy and a little girl.
Daughter of Ricky Lake.
Yes. Okay, I believe that's right. Susie Q, her name was Jessica Raskin. Her dad was my shop teacher in intermediate school.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, that was shot over in Baltimore, which is, not very far from me. Well, just like, back to Silence of the Lambs, Quantico, Virginia, which is where, it opens up saying that the woods somewhere near Quantico, which is where Jodie Foster was. My father is buried at that cemetery right there at Quantico. That's literally 20 minutes from my house in that whole area because I live in Mount Vernon. And but yeah, that's not too far either. Anyways, we should probably jump back. We're going to be running out of time here shortly. I know that everybody's got stuff to do. But what other kinds of interesting things about Silence of the Lambs?
Hang on, my dog's attacking.
Your dog is attacking. There's like vaginas flying up on the screen. Like, this is a wild ass show.
I know. She's all, ah! You can like hear her going crazy.
This is like everybody's horror movie. This is gratuitous nudity. We have dog attacks.
Okay, so back to what you were saying. They're good now.
Oh, okay. So the moth that we pulled out of the first victim's mouth
That was gross.
was actually I guess it was a gummy bear wrapped up in Tootsie Roll. So in case the girl swallowed it, that's what she was swallowing, like a gummy bear and Tootsie Roll. Not that she would choke to death just as bad, but at least it would be like a nice
it'd melt eventually.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean what they used to make the movie? I was like, wasn't that supposed to be a moth?
Yes.
I'm confused. Okay, never mind. So you're talking about what the movie makers used in her mouth. Okay.
Yeah. They when it shows them pulling something out of her throat.
Yeah.
That is a gummy bear wrapped up with a Tootsie Roll.
Yum.
Yeah, doesn't sound so bad.
That'd be good.
Right.
Now there were, I guess, a lot of moths used in that movie. From what I had seen or read about it, but I don't know. Some other interesting facts is that Roger Corman plays a role in this film. And for those, do you know who Roger Corman is? Do y'all?
Mm-hmm.
Very famous B-budget producer, director. He did a lot. Like if you go to IMDb and you look up Roger Corman, he did a lot of stuff, man. He was a badass. It was all low budget stuff. But a lot of people got their start doing Roger Corman movies. But he played a role in the film. Also, do y'all remember the scene where it shows they're taking Jodie Foster out of the thing, and then he's like, "Don't forget your reports." Hannibal
like
Lecter,
when he's in the cage.
Right, he's in the cage, and he's like, "Don't forget the reports," and she runs back and she grabs the reports. The guy that's taking all of the police out of that room is George Romero.
That's so cool.
Yeah, who is the director and writer, or one of the writers for Night of the Living Dead, and he basically made the zombie movie films what they are, So that was neat. Who are the police officers? At least who are the police officers that appeared? And they weren't in big roles; they just kind of appeared. One was Chris Isaac, the singer.
Him.
Played a police officer, and the other one I wasn't too familiar with his name, but I'm sure that if Danny Darce, I believe is what his name was, I may be wrong on that, but that's also there.
I don't know who that is.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, I've never even heard of him.
But one of the interesting things that is constant in this movie that just jumps out at me is how much they are into building tension. The whole movie is building tension. And it's interesting because they probably do that in horror movies more in general. But in this movie, it's, instead of just showing who she is, they have to do that long scene with her running, and then someone that it's building the tension of who is this person that's running, and then it's like, instead of just introducing her going in and seeing Hannibal, it's going through all these steps and like talking to him about how bad he is, and talking to the FBI guy about how bad he is, and then going through the building tension of going through the cells and people yelling out at her. It's like the whole thing is adding more and more tension. And even the things that don't necessarily have to happen, where she's going into the storage unit and the thing won't go up, and she has to go and try and get the tire the tire pump, whatever you call it, lifter thingy, and to make the storage door go up, and then it still won't work, and then he help her? Like, they build that up so much about what's going to be in that storage unit, because, and it takes forever. And even when she can go in there, she has to crawl under, which is like more tension. And then it's dark, which creates more tension. And then just showing a part at a time with a flashlight. You don't see everything at a time. That's more tension. It's like the whole movie, they are constantly building the tension.
Yeah.
And And it's interesting. And they do that again, the whole dark thing, of course, at the end where she's in the house and it's dark and only he can see her, which is another way of building tension through his goggles. And it's like,
the whole time I was like,
yeah, they're masters at it. The whole movie, they never quit at the building the tension for the next scene. And it's like steadily, if you watch it again with that in mind, you're like, whoa, it's, it's all the time.
Mm-hmm. So. She's saying hi.
It's the Muppet.
You heard a dog in the hall.
She's so cute. Her little hair, it's all like
I know. She's got the whole Albert Einstein, Phil Spector look going on.
The head that was in the jar in that garage was Ed Saxon, who was one of the producers of the film. They made a model of his head.
Oh, okay.
And so, I mean, that's one of those fun little things that, you're working with people in the film and you just start sticking people and stuff all over the place. So that was, that's kind of neat.
So real quick, how you had said that you directed J. Mewes. It's funny because, I haven't seen this movie forever, but I always remember the Buffalo Bill part, which now I find it funny, in the movie, it's not funny, but I find it funny because remember Clerks 2, when J. Mewes did that whole part, he's like, oh, would you fuck me?
Oh, yeah, I know.
That's it.
That was
so I
awesome.
always
It was exactly like
that. So I was like, I need to go back and watch Clerks 2 because I gotta see that part again.
Totally. And they've done so much parody of this movie. It's amazing. And it seems crazy that people haven't seen it. Like even in Joe Dirt, how they have that whole thing about how he's kidnapped and kept in there. And it's such a part of that movie, but it's like everyone knows this movie that they can make fun of it like that,
Mm-hmm.
But it's like Office Space. There's some movies that are referred to so much that if someone hasn't seen them, it's like you probably don't understand so many jokes.
Oh yeah. Yep. The Joe Dirt one was funny.
The dancing.
Dang, I'm putting the lotion on the skin.
Yeah. What do you say? What do you say? Put the lotion on the skin or else you get the hose again or something like that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Put your lotion on the fucking skin.
Yeah, except for he doesn't say you. He doesn't want to make it like a person. He says it. It puts the lotion on his skin, or it doesn't, or it gets the hose again because he doesn't want to personally, see the person as real or something, just as a thing. But it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think in a way they almost went a little too far to do cliches in this movie. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's just showing the time period. Now I think they'd be a little bit more gritty about how it would be more real. Because she's like, she's the perfect example, like the cliche of the new FBI agent. And she's kind of tough, but she's also kind of scared. And then he is like so creepy that it gets almost to the point of parody sometimes to me, just like, Clarice, I will be, it's like so over the top, but it's still perfect for the movie. You know what I mean? But in some movies that wouldn't work now, because now I think that times have changed and I don't know, over time, the way people see those kinds of things change. But when you're thinking about, this is one of the first movies that really even addressed serial killers and someone like that, then you think it was really ahead of its time, because he was doing this character that was so creepy and so perfect for being, the quintessential serial killer creepster, but this was in 91, I think, so it was basically, they didn't even come up with the term serial killer till I think the early 80s, and so this was, they'd never talked about serial killers really. By 91, I mean, that's a relatively new thing to talk about. So that makes it more interesting when you see it from that perspective, like, wow, and that's a great representation of what they're doing, and it probably was the first time you saw a movie really about forensics, about, the whole FBI, the way they, there's crime solving techniques, etc. So when you think about that and you see it from that perspective, now we're a little jaded. We've seen so many like it, you know, but when you think of it like that, it's all new. And wow, is that how the FBI works? And wow, is that how, oh my God, is someone really like that out there in the world? You know, that's pretty interesting because they went pretty far beyond what anyone else was doing.
Yeah.
You know? So I like that.
Yeah.
You know, on the FBI thing, they say that the FBI was 100% behind this character because it would give incentive for females to want to join the FBI.
That makes sense. And I think there probably still aren't that many females that join the FBI, but at that time, I'm sure there were almost none.
Mm-hmm. Well, have you seen that new documentary on Prime that's about Ted Bundy falling for a serial killer? And it's the ex-girlfriend and the daughter that are doing the whole documentary.
I didn't see that documentary. I saw the Ted Bundy tapes and I saw the special on, I think, ABC with also the ex-girlfriend and her daughter. So they kind of, I haven't seen that one yet. I probably will though, because I'm a true crime nut.
It's
right?
Good.
I've seen most of them.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't seen those because that's like, I remember you were like, you've got to watch this. You've got to watch this. Whoa. But,
it's super good.
Yeah.
Well, and it kind of goes.
Did you see there's a Unabomber one? There's the Act on Hulu about Gypsy Rose Blanchard. That's so good. And that is actually with actors, but I mean, it's a totally true story. And it's with Patricia Arquette and a couple other people. But that's really good. That's on Hulu, The Act. You have to see that one. And the Unabomber hunting or manhunt for the Unabomber, that was so good too. And of course, the first season of Making a Murderer, but I didn't really like the second season because nothing really changed, and so it wasn't very interesting. But if you haven't seen the first season of Making Murderer, I love the true crime stuff. I wasn't in a hurry to see the new one about the Ted Bundy ex-girlfriend because when I heard that Ted Bundy's ex and daughter were going to be on like a 2020 special, I was so excited. Because of the fact that he married someone that he used to work with and that was like obsessed with him. Yeah. And then they had a daughter together. And that was after he was in prison because they didn't even get together till he was in prison. Yeah. And then he basically married her because she was so committed to him. She was the only one who stood by him, etc. But when he was in prison, somehow the guards looked the other way so they could, do their thing. And so they did have a kid together. And when the kid was about 3 in the early 80s, I'd say like 1983, something like that, they just, I guess at that point, I'm assuming decided that he really did it. And I think she was lying to herself till then. And so they just moved and changed their names. And no one has ever heard whatever happened to him and his biological daughter. Now he was a freaking psycho. So you have to think, what happened to his biological daughter? I'm curious.
Me too. The lady died. She's dead now.
Well, that isn't her though. The one you're talking about is the girl he was in a long-term kind of relationship with someone who had a daughter. And they were in a relationship for a few years. And this was while he was going around killing people. She was kind of like his normal life was his girlfriend. Yeah. And that's Elizabeth. The one that you're talking about. And she had a daughter that was maybe 7 to 12 while they were together, I believe.
Her name wasn't Kelly, was it?
But
no, it was Molly. Yeah, but the lady in prison.
He married the lady who was like standing by his side and they had a kid. No one ever knew what happened to them. And since the early 80s. And so when I heard about, Ted Bundy's ex and daughter are going to be on the 2020, I was like, oh my God, whatever happened to that little girl? Is she crazy too? Like all this stuff. You want to hear what happens, And and then I found out it was like the one that it wasn't his real daughter. And I was just a little bummed about that because, I was expecting the more exciting version that no one knew about. But so since I saw that 2020 about them, I was feeling like I kind of knew the story based on that. So that's why I didn't rush out to see the new documentary, but I'll eventually see it. I see them all.
Well, in the new one, so lady that he did marry when he was in prison, she has recently died, and I think she was in assisted living home. So they don't know what happened to the daughter.
Who she is? Like,
yeah, what was her name? Carol or something like that. But they couldn't get any obviously comment from her because she had passed away. But they don't know where the daughter's at. They weren't able to find the real daughter.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. At least that's a little bit new, but it sounds like they didn't get much out of it.
Yeah, not with her, but it's cool to kind of hear, like, you know, the original girlfriend that had the daughter. What was her name?
Yeah,
Kendall. Well, the last name was Kendall. I can't remember. Elizabeth Kendall. And it just shows like how much she really loved him and just really didn't think it was him. And, you know, the letters, like she reads letters that he sent her and stuff like that. And then just even her daughter, like how much she praised that man and thought he was just amazing. And then to see how he just flipped a switch and he wasn't what they thought he was. But in that documentary, they really show how back then, you know, FBI agents weren't women and they didn't listen to women and stuff like that. And so there was one FBI agent that they interview her as well. And she talks about, you know, how she was the only one on the force and nobody wanted to listen to her or take her seriously. And she was one of the ones that the Liz lady talked to about, you know, I think it's my boyfriend and this and that. And she was the only one that would listen to her because the men thought she was crazy.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Know how to see it. It sounds like they had a little extra stuff that they didn't have in the 2020 special. But yeah, see those other ones too if you haven't seen them. The Ted Bundy tapes, the Hunt,
I saw that
Manhunt, Unabomber. That one's so good, and it's so sad too because I think he had good intentions. I don't know why the light is being so stupid on this one. But anyhow, okay.
Yeah, I saw Ted Bundy tape. Yeah, I didn't see the other two.
Oh, and The Act. The Act is so good, and it's not the real people, but you can find plenty on the real people, and it's like so good. You have to see that. That's like I want to say just a few episodes, maybe 5 episodes or something on Hulu. Really good.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out for sure.
I'd like to see a serial killer movie about Al Bundy.
Al Bundy?
You should write it.
Peg, I've got something to show you, Peg. Married with victims.
His hand down his pants.
Right.
Did you say married with victims?
Married with victims.
That'd be funny.
You
should do a parody of it.
Their shoes.
Hey, why don't you go get me a beer? There's somebody's head in the fridge, Al.
I sliced her neck with a broken bottle. Oh man. All right, well, we're hitting about that time where it's the end of the show, so I want to thank you so much for coming on. It's been really fun talking to you, and Christopher has said so many good things about you, so I've been excited to get you on here.
You're welcome. Happy to come on.
Oh, I'm like, why are you shushing me? Was I not supposed
I don't know. I don't want her to know that I brag about her.
He's like, I love her. She's amazing. So it's so cool. And I thank you so much for coming on. So now is when, if there's anywhere that you want people to check out your projects or your work pages or anything that you want people to know about.
Okay, well, you can just, you can IMDb me and just see all my movies on there. And if you see them, feel free to comment on my wall or send me a message and tell me what you think. I love to hear feedback and reviews about them. So I love to hear what people think of them.
Awesome. Yep. I'm going to start watching.
Cool.
All right, Christopher, anything?
I just put out a Slow Frank Meets Faith No More Coloring book.
No big deal.
Buy it.
Where can people find it?
slowfrankandfriends.com. You can buy it there. You can find me on Facebook, Christopher Inlow. I believe there's ChristopherInlowEntertainment.com. You can go there and it'll take you to some page. You can find, I have a fan page, Christopher Inlow I think it's the Christopher Inlow fan club. I thought it was so funny to call it that name, and kind of make fun of like the 70s fan club things. Although I don't think people realize that I'm making fun of something by doing that. I think it just looks like I'm this cocky asshole that as the Christopher Inlow fan club.
I didn't think you were cocky. I just didn't know you're making fun of people.
Right. No, I just thought it was really funny to have this, like if I could get a picture of me on a shirt with like a heart around me that's in like gold glitter, I would totally do it. That would crack me up. But yeah, you can find me on Facebook. There's a Christopher Inlow fan club. You can find me on Twitter at Chris Inlow, I believe is the little @ sign on Twitter is at Chris Inlow. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm always talking about projects. I've always got 1,000 projects that are going on. So there's always something that's cool happening. And one of these days I'm going to get both of y'all to work on a project with me. And that'd be
cool.
That would be cool.
Fun.
Heck yeah, that'd be awesome.
So we need to get that down, whether it's doing voice work in one of Melanie's productions or acting in one of my productions or something, acting in one of Rhiannon's productions. We need to get
all those productions I have.
We need to get everybody together to do this because it's awesome. And it's great that we have a platform that we can get different people from different kinds of, different kinds of places in the entertainment field and grab us and throw us together to talk about something like Silence of the Lambs. So I really appreciate you bringing me on to do this because usually, you get a lot of people that are from like the horror genre that are talking about horror movies. And I knew right off the bat that Melanie was not a specific horror person. So it would be fun to have her kind of opinion on this kind of thing. And I'm kind of all over the place, and you love your horror movies. So like, I just thought this would be a really fun mix. So I'm glad that I was able to be a part of it.
Yeah, and thank you. It was great. And that was such a good choice too, because I have not, like I said before, I hadn't seen the movie for a really long time. So it was nice to revisit it and see it with fresh eyes. And now that I'm older too, I understand more of it. So it was a great choice. I even told Christopher, I'm like, that was a really good choice.
Thank you. I had a good time talking about it and seeing it again after so long too. So I'm glad to come on.
Yeah, thank you so much. So real quick, check out Sinister Parlour Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. We'll start releasing the shows, I believe, next week. And I'll make announcements and stuff for that. And I'll also let you know whenever we release it, like on the date that we do it. And then check out Broken Halo on Amazon and Broken Halo Blood Curse on Amazon. And I want to thank my publisher, Crazy Ink Publishing, for taking on my books and getting them out there. And with that, we are done.